Senators, and welcome back to Star Wars Democracy. We're going to be talking about Ahsoka, Episode 3, reacting, sharing our thoughts, all that good stuff. And to join me, I have my good friend, Journeyman. Get him pulled
What's
up
up?
on the screen here. How's it going, Journeyman?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Excited to talk about this episode. You and I haven't really talked about it. In fact, it was such a short episode. I was like, yeah, I'm not even gonna bug him. I don't really know what he's
Uh,
doing. So I'm just gonna watch it and we'll catch back up. So
Honestly, I I texted you and I was like, "Hey, did you watch the episode? Because I totally forgot about it." Because I'm
yeah.
like, once again, we from that announcement of like they're moving it or whatever. I'm like,
hmm
oh, it's on Wednesday still. Like I thought they were just doing Tuesday, and I was like, I totally forgot. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
that's
was like,
how it
I'm not gonna
goes.
bug him. It's gonna be a short one. Doesn't mean it wasn't gonna be good, but it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just catch back up. So got a few senators in the chat here. We got Tony. How's it going, Senator? Thank you for being here as always. And we got Star Wars Kermagin. Welcome back, Senator. Appreciate you being here, buddy. Senator Tony says, hi, Dermagen. It took me forever to get Kermagin's name. I'm like, I'm just going to call you Star Wars Kermy. He was on here on the stream on Monday. And I was like, we'll call you Star Wars Kermy. But then he helped me figure it out. It's pronounced Kermagin. So we'll go with Star Wars Kermagin. So appreciate you being here, Senators. Hey, we got some exciting news. Um, Channel hit a big milestone. I'll talk about it briefly at the beginning, and then we'll talk about it at the end a little bit more in depth. So stay till the end to hear all the good stuff. But hey, as a senator of the channel, anyone and everyone who is here and who has subscribed or who watches my videos, you are a senator of the channel. But now you could take it a step further and support me as a content creator. You now have the ability during live streams or even on regular videos that you watch to send in donations through super thanks, super chats, or super stickers. So for those of you who are watching the stream right now, there should be a little dollar sign in the live chat. And you can click that dollar sign, send in a super chat if you'd like. I'm still going to try to read through all the comments, so you're not going to be missing out. And you by no means have to send in a super chat if you're not able to. But I would really appreciate it if you just want to donate here and there. All the money that I make, I'm going to try to pour back into the channel to just keep making my content better. And there's a lot of exciting things happening here on Star Wars Democracy. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would have gotten this far so quickly. So I really appreciate you, Journeyman, who has supported me this whole time and who hop on these streams with me, and all you senators in the chat, in the Discord, in the video comments, everywhere. You all are truly making a difference. I couldn't be more happy. And between Tony and Kermagin, who I know are already in the chat, and a few more people that I can see who are in the chat, we're building a pretty cool community here. And that was been the goal the whole time. It's never been about the money. But I know when Journeyman and I were kind of talking about this, and I kind of took the reins, this was all about building a good community of people that we could talk to from the very beginning. So if you want to give back, if you like my content, like I said, no pressure at all, but there is that option. You just click that dollar sign in the live chat, and you could send in a super chat, or there's the super thanks option, which should be like near the video description. But other than that, we'll jump right into it, and I'll go over a few more things towards the end of the stream, and a little bit more about uh, what the abilities we have on the channel now that we've met this milestone. So Star Wars Kermagin says, LOL, no Kermy, LOL. Don't call him
Uh,
Kermy. Note to self. It's just
okay.
Kermagin.
Kermagin. Okay.
Just Kermagin. Let's see. Sorry, try again. Cat dear, hi Kermagin. That's funny. Star Wars Kermagin says, hey Tony, all you senators are catching up. Tony says, we are happy for you too. I appreciate that, Senator. You've been here close to the beginning as well. And you've always had my back, and I'm happy to have you here. So let's just jump right into it. We'll go ahead and get the banner pulled up here. Ahsoka Episode 3 reaction. So, Journeyman, like I said, we haven't really talked.
Mm-mm.
But how are you feeling after this episode? It's a bit on the shorter side.
It was. I actually really enjoyed that. I know
I
I
kind of, what did
did.
you feel about it?
Well, so story progression wise, nothing was accomplished. But to a degree, nothing was really accomplished.
Nothing
However,
major, but yeah.
yeah, nothing major. But the bits and pieces that I did like, we had Jason. We saw Jason finally, which that was really cool. I was wondering if we were gonna see him. He looks really good. I mean, it's live
Hmm.
action, but still, just to know that he's there. Then you have the Purgle happening. I wasn't expecting that to just come out of the blue. Um, so you have the bits and pieces of it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's probably like a solid 8 in my book.
Okay.
8, 8, 8.5 maybe. But
So, so here's a question I have for you right out of the bat, because this is obviously something that we've talked about a lot. Do you feel like if this episode would have came out at the typical 2 o'clock in the morning Central Time for us, do you feel like it would have had that high of a score in your opinion? Like, was it that good of an episode, or do you think it's like, because I really
no,
do think, I personally think it makes a difference how they're releasing these episodes. I do feel like, so for me, I'll give you my rating and then we'll jump back into your comments. I gave it a
mhm,
7.5 out of 10. Uh which is actually the lowest that I have ranked all of them. Um so and I wouldn't say it's because of the content of the episode. I do think it was on the shorter side, um, which I think is kind of why I rated it lower. But I do feel like even for all of these episodes, 1 through 3 so far, that I would be rating them probably lower if they were coming out in the morning, which I don't know if is fair. That's just my opinion on it, though.
I feel like the time difference does have a little bit to do with it. I mean, I just felt better about the episode after watching it. I was like, yeah, no, this is a pretty decent episode. Still, we didn't get a lot of answers or no major stuff, but like it continues the story and it still feels like nothing crazy has happened to where it's like this doesn't feel like Ahsoka. It doesn't feel like season 5 of Rebels. Like nothing to me, nothing in my opinion has thrown it off to where it's just like, yeah, this is not Ahsoka. Like I feel like it's just an extension of Rebels 5, an extension of Ahsoka's character so far. And really
Hmm.
every character there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there were some really cool scenes. I know you said it didn't progress the story forward. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I also like. I mean, we have like the scene with the senators, like
Oh, I
that
love that
the
scene.
actual senators of the show,
Yeah.
um, where I mean, we really see the hesitation by the New Republic. I thought the scene was so interesting. I've watched the episode twice now, and it got me both times when that one lady, I don't know what the senator's name is, but the lady, she's like, but everyone in the Empire gave an oath of loyalty to the New
Oh,
Republic, and Hera's like, well,
mm,
long live the Empire doesn't sound much like an oath to me. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
these senators are like, what's so funny is,
But can I say one point to your on that scene?
yeah.
I feel like that was the right politicking though that feels like Star Wars.
Hmm.
It doesn't feel like I'm gonna dog on Andor again, but it doesn't feel like Andor where it's so single-handedly just like politicking, and it's like, yeah, let's do
Yeah,
what
it
the
felt
Empire is
very
really
like
doing.
prequel
It's
esque politics,
yes, it's
which,
like
but because it kind of is falling, like, I mean, that's the same thing as like, I mean, Padme was all about stopping the fighting and all that stuff, and which is
which you
fine,
mhm,
but what the New Republic is running into, and you can even see, I feel like Mon Mothma's hesitation and the conflict, because the
mhm,
senator says it, and I agree with what the senator who was standing next to the lady was like, that we represent. like the people, and the people don't want another war. And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I believe that. I mean, they just got, there was just the Galactic Civil War. They were just under the reign of the Emperor and the Empire. Of course, they don't want another war. But it's
Right.
like, you do realize that, like, you can't just not beef up your military. And when
Expect
someone
nothing
is,
to go wrong.
yeah, and when someone is coming to you with not just a little wimpy threat, you're talking about the possibility of Thrawn's return.
Yeah.
And that's why my mom was like, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Like, you could
Yeah.
tell she's gonna feel the weight of having to make those decisions. I feel like it's not gonna be as simple as her decision making is going to be much more conflicted and take much more of a toll on her than obviously the other senators, because the other senators are like,
Mhm.
it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of
With
interesting.
I did love the scene though. It like you said, it felt like prequel era politicking, or even if you want to throw in Clone Wars, from the animated stuff, like
Hmm.
even throw in that, like it felt like that type of politicking where it's like we're not going to give you the integral details of like what's really going on, like at least the political stuff, like going,
Hmm.
they'll give you like the baseline general knowledge of what you need to know, like for an example, like at least um, for the Phantom Menace, when the Trade Federation was going on, it's like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, it's just trade negotiations, and it's like base level stuff, and like, oh yeah, we understand what's like going on here, like, and you can,
Hmm.
and that's what it felt like to me, at least for that scene.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5. Star Wars Curmudgeon here gave it a 6.5 and says for me, so 6.5 for me, sadly. Some good Star Warsy things, but I'm not cool with the inevitable Sabine being able to use the Force. And while visually cool, I felt the space battle made Shin look stupid. So, what do you think about Sabine using the Force?
I mean, I don't particularly like it necessarily. I feel like
Hmm.
she was brought up to be a Mandalorian, and the only reason I'm giving it a pass necessarily is it is already like a, an established product that I like, and so I'm giving it a pass by being that. But do I like it? No. Is it I just think if we go down the train of people who are important to Star Wars, and we've seen this now time and time again. We've had Qui-Gon, we've who's taught uh Obi-Wan,
Hmm.
who's now has taught Anakin, who Anakin has now taught Padme, and for or not Padme, Anakin has taught Ahsoka, and then for Ahsoka to finally get a Padawan, I feel like it was gonna be inevitable anyways, that she was gonna teach someone,
Hmm.
Grogu, someone, like, if if Luke wasn't gonna be the one, it was gonna be Ahsoka at some point, so
Hmm.
I feel like the inevitable turn of her getting a chance at actually finally teaching someone, I I would think after Kanan passing, it would have been Ezra, like, helping out Ezra, but if it's Sabine, I don't mind it. I mean,
Well, it's
it's
kind of,
okay.
and I see what you're saying here, Star Wars Curmudgeon. I have not been a fan of it at all. I do think it's important to remember, though. I believe this is something George Lucas has said himself, but it's also something I just believe in general, is that everybody does have the Force. Ahsoka does say that to an extent in the episode, but she also says it also takes talent. Like, you have to be able to possess the abilities to wield it, and some have it more naturally than other. In fact, I believe I was watching Theory's video today, and I remember hearing this before too, and he confirmed it in his breakdown video, but Obi-Wan Kenobi was not gifted in the Force. I had forgotten about this. He was not gifted in the Force, but through discipline and
Training.
training,
Yeah.
he was able to become a Jedi Master on the Council and wield it better. I mean, become a Force ghost. So I agree. I I do think that everybody has the force. Everybody has the capacity and the ability to wield the force. Do I love Sabine Wren being a force wielder though? Not really.
Not necessarily, no,
Not
but
necessarily. However, and I think this was very obviously intentional by Dave, and I'm glad he pointed this out in the episode when Hugh Yang, I think that's how you say the robot's name, Hugh Yang, was in
yeah,
the cockpit with Ahsoka, and he was like, "Well, you do become from a long line of non-traditional Jedi," and I was like, "Oh, he's talking about Anakin." And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, "Okay, he's not really talking about Obi-Wan, but Qui-Gon brought Anakin to the temple, non-traditional Jedi. Who was Qui-Gon's master? Dooku, non-traditional Jedi. You read Dooku Jedi Lost, then obviously Dooku leaves the Order. I mean,
mhm,
Ahsoka really does come from a long line of non-traditional Jedi, and so if there was going to be any apprentice that she has, I suppose it would be a Mandalorian like Sabine,
yeah,
non-traditional.
yeah.
And I know you said Ezra, but I would say Ezra is more traditional than Sabine.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, he was taught by Kanan, but I was just
Yeah,
saying, like, eventually Ahsoka, I think, was gonna have to find her Padawan. So,
yeah,
I feel like eventually in her story and Dave's vision for her, I feel like she was always gonna be a master to someone, 'cause it's the cycle of Star Wars. So, I mean, eventually she's probably gonna have one. So, once
hmm,
again, is it bad that it's Sabine? No, not necessarily. Did I want it to happen? No, but we're at this point now where it's at least it's a character I love and understand, and it's coming from Dave Filoni making her the teacher to her, and
yeah,
not someone else writing it for us.
yeah,
So it will feel real and, like, authentic to it. I did love, though, that they threw in the, um in the episode when she's, like, talking to Sabine about the Force and all that, I love that they lay out the argument, and Dave clearly wrote it this way because he knew people were gonna ask. It's like, Sabine literally said, "Well, can't everyone just have the Force?" Like, and she literally says, "Well, talent is a part of it." That's like me saying that's like anyone saying, "I can play basketball or I can play any sport," but yet why are the NBA, the NFL, the pro soccer players, whatever sport you wanna say and go to pro, why are they the ones getting picked? Well, it's because they're more talented and more and have more training based on off of that. So, like,
yeah.
it's sort of that aspect of it, and I'm glad that he laid out the argument in the episode of not just because I feel like this is good once again, this is good writing. It's
Hmm.
asking a question that you as a fan would ask and then be like, "How can we answer this question into the episode so that we can answer some questions for other people?"
Yeah.
And it's not just like lazy writing. Well, it's like, I'm gonna rip on the sequels again, but it's like somehow Palpatine would return. Okay, well, you didn't really, like, necessarily show us that or explain how that was done. You threw it in books or whatever, but that didn't no one's gonna take the time to go read those, really.
Yeah, well, you bring up an interesting point with the sequels actually, because it's like the opposite of the sequels in some like I'm thinking of Rise of Skywalker specifically,
Mhm.
and the Rise of Skywalker gives us a lot of cool moments, right? We
Yeah.
see Palpatine like it kind of gives you everything that you want to see as a fan, but the writing is horrific. The storytelling is horrific. And I feel like
It
this is the
just
opposite. It's like this is going to be really good storytelling, but it's leading to a place that I'm not necessarily a fan of. But I feel like at least it has the backbone of the good story. And I don't feel like it's just conceived out of nowhere. It's like,
no.
okay, you're giving me something and you're giving me support for it. It's just I'm not a fan of what it's turning out to be, and that's
Yes.
different to me.
Yes, and that's a harder argument to combat as us fans. It's like, well, you're not really giving me everything I wanted, but you're taking the storytelling really well. So how can I be mad with your reasoning or writing for this specific thing? Like if you do it well enough, it's like, okay, I don't necessarily like it, but we kind of I can live with it, you know. And
Right.
plus, the other thing is just as my kind of final argument, I guess, for it is who doesn't want to see Sabine, Ezra, and Ahsoka all have a lightsaber fighting at the same time in
Yeah.
one form or fashion? I think that would be just really cool. Yes, could you do that and she doesn't have to be a man or a Jedi? Yes, but to know that they're all considered Jedi now, like that's a pretty cool thing because at the end of the day, that group is a family. So
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. We'll circle back to this in just a little bit because I see some more comments about it, but I want to catch up on these other ones so we can touch on some other points. But
yep.
we'll circle back in a second. So Tony here says Ahsoka Rock chopping that fighter in half like Rey did to Kylo's TIE fighter. Did you like that scene where she was in space?
Oh, where she flips and cuts the.
Yeah, like when she's out in space and she's like in the suit.
What I like about it is Dave takes into account what he's done before, which I
Mm-hmm.
find it's a very fitting callback because the episodes that we watch, if you remember of Clone Wars,
Mm-hmm.
there was or at least did I watch it or we watch? There's somewhere in Clone Wars or Rebels. There's like I think it's in Clone Wars. Yeah, there's a bunch of there's like a crash ship or something like that, and you had clones that were in space or like getting sucked into space by the droids,
Mm-hmm.
and so and it was the episode with Master Plo Koon.
Yeah, I think we
So
watched it recently.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so you take into account. Remember the line he said, like, "I'm able to stay out here for a little bit, but I can't sustain this."
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they actually have a space suit for Ahsoka takes into account, like, the history that he went back and did,
Mm-hmm.
because she's actually wearing something that's actually gonna protect her. It's not like she's just out there willy-nilly. So
Yes,
going
yes,
back on.
and she does wear a spacesuit in the Clone Wars too. She does. You could find images
Okay.
of it, but again, to your point, it's a callback.
Yeah,
And you actually raised a really good point. I want to run this theory by you, and I think it would be
but
really, really,
overall, I did like the scene. I thought it was really cool.
yeah. I thought it
Now
was cool
did
too.
now the only thing I didn't like about it is the ship was taking all those shots, and the part that I was like, "Okay, what is she's out there just trying to deflect bullets," but I'm pretty sure that thing would have just exploded in
Plot armor,
reality.
plot
Plot
armor.
armor, but yeah, it's
But
fine, it's fine.
really
We're
cool.
not gonna.
I don't want to delve on this too long because I want to get back to some of the chats. But I saw a really
Mhm,
cool theory today. Again, I think it was in Theory's video. What if, because it seems like Balin knew Anakin, and it seems like he might have even known Ahsoka, and is obviously hesitant to kill Ahsoka. Now, it makes it seem like he's hesitant to kill her because there's not a lot of Jedi left. But
mhm.
wouldn't it be really cool? So I've heard some people say he could have been Mace Windu's apprentice just because of the lightsaber color.
Ooh,
But what if he was Plo Koon's apprentice? Because Plo Koon found Ahsoka and brought her to the temple. Wouldn't that be kind of poetic? Plus,
do we
Plo
even know
Koon,
who his the princess is? I thought we
uh,
know.
I think. Well, I mean, he could have had more than one
True, I guess, I mean,
because
yeah,
it
a lot of
because
teachers over the years, yeah.
Balin had or Balin is around the same age as Anakin, and Anakin has an apprentice in the Clone Wars. So
Yeah,
Balin would be Anakin's age, a Jedi Knight at that point. So we wouldn't see who his master is. But what if Plo Koon was Balin's master? And we know that Plo Koon is
is
Dave
Dave
Filoni's favorite Jedi.
Filoni's. Yeah,
Now that would be cool.
which I find it once again, you bring that up, it's funny that the episode of the space, Plo Koon's thing that we watch is like a callback to that, which I find really funny.
Right. That's why I was like, well, your comment reminded me. But anyway, we'll get back to some of these other chats. I saw this one and I wanted to bring this up. Senator Tony says Ahsoka is not the Ahsoka we knew from Rebels, and she definitely was not the same even in the Clone Wars when she was with. I think he's meant to say she was with the Martez sisters. I am
I agree with
taking.
you.
I am starting to take a bit of an issue of how Ahsoka is being portrayed. I know, like, I like it in the sense that I do think we're going to get like a good arc for Ahsoka, but man, like, I need her to loosen up a little bit. And I don't know if it's Rosario as a actress or if Dave is intentionally writing and directing her to act this way. And I want to say it's the latter because Dave Filoni knows this character so well. And
I
Rosario Dawson is like, do you just feel like Ahsoka is just always like just very like I
so
understand she's mature, but I need her to be like that more innocent Ahsoka with that just
I think
loosen
it's
up a little bit.
I think it's two things. It's the actor because it's hard to play the voice right when
Mhm.
you're a different person, of course. Yes, you could play different, but I don't know if that would really work. I feel like what Dave is doing intentionally, and this is what I've thought from the beginning when she was, very stern with Sabine, like she 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 disobeyed a direct order talking to Hera, and
Mhm.
I think the first or second episode, I think it's second, but like she said that, and Hera's like, "Well, we talked about it before, but, like, you both are butting heads because
Mhm.
she's a stern Mandalorian and all that." So my point is, I feel like Dave's intentionally writing her for a purpose. I also feel like after A World Between Worlds, like, and her training with Sabine,
Mhm.
that time, like, we don't see that time before we see this show. We're only seeing the reuniting of that training now of the show, right?
Mhm.
So we don't even see that time period. So we don't know if there was an attitude shift, and I think there was. And I feel like this is what Dave is eventually going to do is if we get Anakin at some point, hopefully, whenever that becomes. But I feel like Anakin will loosen her up
Yeah.
and because it's going to be an emotional scene because I know I'm going to cry because if I see him I really will cry, but it's going to be an emotional scene, so you write her to be so stiff, like she was taught before. Anakin taught her the way that he was so strict with, not strict, he was so, I guess strict is a good word, but what's the word, she was taught so differently from the other Jedi
Mhm.
and so stringent and um, at a higher standard than other Jedi. Because remember, in Tales of the Jedi, he's like, if you want to be better, once again, going to the callback of Tales, like if you if you can fight the clones, you can do pretty much anything you want. Like,
Mhm.
or I'm able, you were able to take care of yourself. I don't have to worry about you anymore, right?
Mhm.
So I think she's going back on Anakin's teaching and being the harsh teacher because she almost a good part of this is she almost lost Sabine once already
Mhm.
with the jab to the spleen or whatever, right?
Mhm.
With the lightsaber. She's already lost her once. Do you think she after seeing that, would any sane person not be more stringent with their student of like protecting themselves, of not being this happy go lucky teacher? I don't feel like you would. I feel like you you would be more strict with her of like, I need you to do it this
Yeah.
way. Like I'm trying to protect you. And so it's all that combined with her training. I feel like that's why we don't see the happy go lucky Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson's
Yeah.
voice, what we all think about. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I agree with you though. I'm hoping that by the time we see Anakin, which is rumored to be episode 5, that will kind of loosen Ahsoka up and will kind of it won't be the same, obviously, because she's not
no,
Ashley Eckstein,
yeah.
but I do think there is some intentionality behind it, but I agree. I think it like you said, it's also just the actress in Rosario. But Rosario is doing a fine job.
But yeah,
Uh
and that's what I was gonna say.
yeah.
She's doing a fine job.
Yeah. Star Wars Curmudgeon says, my issue with the senator scene is, of all people, Mon Mothma should, at this point, realize that evil can be lurking when few people can see it. I agree, and
Yes,
I think she does. I think she does realize it. She's just finding her place in the position as chancellor of having to make the difficult decisions in the galaxy.
yes, she's the head of the republic, right?
Right.
The Senate. So she's having to deal with that. Also, they don't, in my mind, she's having to deal with this all the way up. uh, Now that we're seeing the show, she's having to deal with this all the way up to the sequels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, she's always going to be on the fence about like what to do. She's never going to be just all in until we get the sequels, right?
Yes, I think that we will continue to see them not prepare militarily the way that they should.
And I feel like whatever this battle is going to be taking place, it's going to be taking place in the other galaxy.
I do as well, because like you just said, they never truly learn their lesson. I mean, if Grand Admiral Thrawn actually did return from Peridia, this new galaxy, you would think that they would be ready to take threats more seriously. And the
Yes.
First Order did pose obviously a big threat, considering they blew up the whole Hosnium Prime system
Hmm.
or planet or whatever. So I
Yeah.
mean, I take what you will from the sequels, but it's like story wise, they never took a threat seriously. And that leads me into a really interesting theory that I want to bring up a little bit later that I have that I haven't even scripted the video, recorded the video, or obviously edited the video, but I'm going to release a video tomorrow. So wish me luck. I'm going to be up pretty late tonight over this theory that I'll talk about here in a little bit. So, but yeah, I agree with Curmudgeon here. It's like she should realize it. I think she does realize it, but she will not act quickly enough.
No, because it's
She won't
politics, and
because of the
politics never
politics.
works quickly. It never does.
Yeah. Senator Tony says watching Sabine train was the same as watching her train with Kane and Jarrus on the Darksaber training episode. It seems she is conflicted with her family, and now she's conflicted with Ezra. Yeah, I mean, Ahsoka mentions it. She's like, I can't remember the exact word she uses, but she basically requotes Yoda and is like, the giving into your anger. I know she uses the word anger. I want to say hate or frustration, or I can't remember what other word she used.
It's both.
It will
Yeah.
get you there faster. It will yield you more power, but it's not the Jedi way.
Yeah. Well,
You
and
know?
it has a shortcoming with it, is it you won't be able to see clearly. Your path is really undefined at that point. Like,
Yeah.
you can try and control it as much as you want, but at least in my estimation, being a Jedi, you're able to navigate the ground a little bit more safely. And that's what we see in this episode with, you know, with the dogfight scene and all that. Like, um, what's the droid's name or whatever?
Huyang.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's giving all the rules of a Jedi, like of a mission, and
Mm-hmm.
like you can kind of see the path is more defined in a Jedi's way. It's like, hey, let's power this down now. Hey, this is what we do here. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
Sith or the dark side is just gonna be like, yeah, let's go gain as much power as possible, and we don't care how that's done.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Tony follows up here and says, "We don't know how Sabine and Ahsoka got together again, but was Sabine looking for Ahsoka to learn how to use Ezra's saber, or was it Ahsoka who needed Sabine's assistance?" So, question is,
True,
did
but
Ahsoka reach out to Sabine, or did Sabine reach out to Ahsoka? I think Ahsoka
I
reached out to Sabine because Sabine didn't
yes,
even know Ahsoka was alive. If I
yeah,
remember, I don't think
no, because I don't think Ezra ever told anyone about Ahsoka
that we know of.
that we know of. But
Yeah,
from what we know of, and from Rebels, once he got back from World Between Worlds, I don't think he said a thing to anyone.
yeah. So I think Ahsoka reaches out to Sabine, but I don't know. Kermagin here says Dave is trying to have his cake and eat it too. I think it's to bake a cake and eat it
Or
too. Whatever. Either way,
whatever, yeah.
she's not really force sensitive fans. Oh, this is Dave speaking. She's not really force sensitive fans. Don't get angry. And then he's saying, but she's going to use the force anyway. He knows it's uncool with fans. So
I would
that's the
just
question. Do we actually think Sabine will use the force?
I feel like eventually she will. Like, once again, it takes talent and practice. Is it like is she going to be as skilled as Ahsoka or anyone else? No. Like, but anyone can learn it. That's the thing. Like, I felt this way for a while. Like, even though it like runs in a family or whatever, like with the midichlorians even going that way, like
Hmm.
even though it's supposed to run into a family, everyone has the force. It's I would give another analogy, but I don't want to go down that side of it.
Well, and I'm wondering too, and I don't know how fans are going to feel about this, but I'm wondering if it will be easier to wield the force in this other galaxy, and Sabine will have an easier time, or it will be maybe not easier to wield it, but the means in which they use the force or understand the force or whatever in this new galaxy will be easier for just a so-called regular person to use. And I'm wondering if that will expedite and speed up her force abilities. I don't like that, but I do think it's a possibility. But
Once again, I don't like that Sabine's going to do it, but my other question to you and really anyone in the chat would be what other option did Dave have to do with this group? What could he have done that makes it interesting for us fans and interesting for himself?
I mean, one I see what you're saying, but, like, was Sabine really the way to go? Like, because you have Jason Syndulla right there at your grasp. We know that he's most likely Force sensitive, and he literally wants to be a Jedi. Wouldn't
I
that
would
have been
argue,
pretty compelling that to have him as the apprentice instead of Sabine, and just have Sabine be a really cool Mandalorian?
I yes, but I also think that Hera probably does not want Jason to go and like we hear at the end of Rebels, yes, we understand who his father was, is a Jedi.
Mhm.
That's probably the path he is going to eventually take. But I
Well, he
don't think
straight up says in the episode, "I want to be a Jedi." Like, they could have used that scene for anything, and he's like, "I heard Aunt Sabine's gonna be a Jedi. Can I be a Jedi?"
yes,
"Who
and that's
told you that?"
probably
"Chopper told me."
which is just a funny thing.
Um,
Which I love that scene as well. Um, yes, you could. I feel like just in terms of timeline and like logical thinking here, I feel like Jason is too young to train and do whatever that Sabine or what Ahsoka needs him to do
mhm.
right now and be like on a full blown mission for Thrawn and all that. I feel like it's not logical. I don't think Hera really wants Jason, to go into the quote unquote family business of being a Jedi because she saw what that did to. Yes, she Kanan saved their life, but I don't think she want as a mom, just going off on parenting, I don't think you really want that for your kid. Like, you don't wanna go if we use real world knowledge, right? Would you
Mhm.
want if I was a parent, do I really want my kid to go off into the military? Not really, but if that's what he really, really wants to do and really wants to pursue his passion over, I can't really deny him that, but, like, do I really want him to do that? Am I gonna try everything that I can to not have him go into that profession? Yes, and I feel like that's the same thing that Hera would be trying to do. So I feel like that's that's why it's not Jason right now.
Fair. Fair, and yeah, he is on the younger side, but and again, I agree with what you're saying, but I think there were other avenues for a Force sensitive to be brought into the show. And I am not a fan of Sabine using the Force. I'd rather her be a Mandalorian and just have her be just as cool as Din Djarin.
No, yeah, I agree. I
But
agree with you. I'm just asking what other Jedi besides Jason, because I
Cal
feel like I
Kestis, Luke Skywalker. I mean,
Luke's gonna come in at a different time.
Grogu.
Cal might come in at another
I
time,
mean, the reality is there are many other Force sensitive beings at this time.
but that is attuned for this mission, continuing from Rebels, because it's a
To
Rebels
find
show.
Ezra,
Yes,
I mean, yes, to find Ezra, it would be Sabine, but I still don't understand. I don't understand, and maybe it's just me stuck in Hu Yang's old Jedi protocol. I mean, I'm kind of Hu Yang. It's like she has no aptitude for the Force whatsoever. She cannot be a Jedi. That was Hu Yang's,
and I
and
agree with you. I'm
and
just
so what about the line? Because I know people have different opinions on this. I watch Josh Theory, all of them. I'm
I
sure
haven't
everybody
watched
does.
any of them, but
But
yeah.
Josh took issue with the line where Ahsoka said, I don't, what does she even say? I think Sabine says, I don't need her to be a Jedi. I need her to be herself, which is such an Ahsoka thing to
No,
say. But at the same time, I was like, I'm
it
with you,
is a
Yang, on this one. He literally says it. She has no aptitude for the Force whatsoever. She's not an acceptable candidate. That's what he said. She's not and that's how I feel.
it
And I
is
feel
an
like that's just Dave Filoni toying with the. It's like, okay, Hu Yang is saying what we're all thinking, but Ahsoka, being the wise former Jedi and purest example of what the Jedi is, in my opinion,
mhm.
is saying she doesn't have to. That and she says that that was what their standards were. That's what the Jedi standards were.
I feel like it's more simple, or I feel like this is what she's trying to say, but the writing may be a little off. I don't need her to reach her full potential of being a quote unquote Jedi. I need her to quote unquote be herself, use the Mandalorian knowledge that she has, and if she can use the Force a little bit, that's enough for me to, you know, I don't need her to do much, is
Yeah,
essentially. Like
yeah.
I don't need her to be the greatest Jedi of them all, Anakin. I don't need her to be that. I feel like that's what it could be.
So I don't know, Kerbajin. I mean, I'm with you. Like I feel like you, Kermagin, and I are in the Yang camp, but she's not an acceptable candidate. But Kermagin, if you're even remotely a Ahsoka fan, we know that. I mean, first of all, we know Dave is a genius, and I know here that you're like says here that I can't remember what you said, but he's agreeing with you that Dave is trying to sell it well, and he does his best. I guess I'm just not going to buy Sabine doing that ever, and I don't buy
And
it
that's
now.
fair. Yeah.
But as I'm thinking about what Ahsoka is saying and whether or not you like the dialogue or not, it's like Ahsoka is my favorite character in all of Star Wars, and what she's saying is like that was the Jedi's way of looking at it, and look how they ended up. And maybe it's
She's
time to
trying
embrace a larger view of the Force.
she's trying to right the wrongs from the past. And that seems to be like what no one in Star Wars is doing. I think even Cal is trying to like still rebuild the order or something of that
Mhm.
nature. Like Luke is trying to do that. Like I love Luke, but he's still in the like old ways of like trying to rebuild the order. I think Ahsoka is saying like we're beyond the order now. Like we just need to have people that are willing to protect the peace at this point. Like
Yeah.
forget the
Well,
order, forget like what it is.
let me through some of these comments really quick, and then I'll give you my theory because you're kind of starting to hit at my theory here. So Kermagin follows up and says Rosario played Ahsoka a bit more likable in episode 3. I would agree with that. But yeah, there's no real trace of the Ashley Eckstein personality in the live action version. I'm good with Rosario, but it's very different. Yeah,
It
that's kind of
is.
where I'm at with it too. and it's fine. I think it will get better. I do think it will get
I
better.
feel like she does the mannerisms well, though. So,
Yeah,
like, you still feel like it's Ahsoka. It's just the voice and the the innocence of Ashley Eckstein is not there. That's really
yeah,
the difference.
yeah. It's just, and she's just a more mature character.
Mhm.
At this point, Senator Tony says, going back to Ahsoka's attitude shift, she does banter with Hu Yang and smiles on 2 occasions. So I think her serious attitude is due to her being afraid and working with Sabine again. Give her time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of
Feel like
echoing
they
what we've been saying. So
Mhm.
Senator Tony says, additionally, Ahsoka is now kidding with Huyang on the Jedi protocol on every occasion she gets for fun and to poke at him. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
Dave is really playing at the fact that she is definitely not a Jedi, and she's making it very clear that she has separated that. Like, I mean, of course, she makes it very clear in Rebels, I am no Jedi, but he's continuing to make it clear is that to fans who don't know her, it's like she is not a Jedi. Even though the episode she appears in The Mandalorian season 2 is literally called The Jedi, which is I
Which
don't know, it's just weird
we all recognize her as a Jedi, but a story
because she's the
perspective,
true
she is
example as the Jedi. She doesn't to
yes.
me, she doesn't realize how much of a Jedi she actually is. That's how I perceive it. It's like,
Yes.
no, you literally are a Jedi, everything the Jedi should be. But like you don't know that because you didn't grow up knowing that. You knew war, you knew conflict. You didn't know what it meant to be a keeper of the peace because you grew up fighting a war that was being blind. You were being blindly misled by the Jedi Order, who was being manipulated by the Dark Lord of the Sith. So it's like you knew nothing of what the Jedi ever should have been and or could have been. So,
But it was the will of the Force and her situation with the Order that made her leave in order for her to be on that path.
mhm. And we keep hitting on my theory here, and Kerbagin is hitting at it even more. Ironically, Kerbagin says, ironically, the case can be made that Ahsoka quitting the Jedi Order is what caused the downfall of the Republic. I mean,
Yes and no.
I don't know if
Eh,
I think it. There's so
it
many dominoes in that it was.
yes.
Yes, it was a factor, but not the reason. I don't think
Yes. Yes. I
so.
agree.
Kerbagin follows up and says Palpatine would have had to separate Anakin from Ahsoka, more than he did Obi-Wan, and I don't know if he could have separated Anakin from Ahsoka. He was attached to her. Yes. And so I think you're following up on your old comment. From that perspective, yes, I would agree with you even more. If Ahsoka would have stayed, it would have been harder. But Kermagin, I would also argue that I mean, one of the biggest rumors and leaks from the show, which again is said to happen in episode 5, is that Ahsoka will learn the lesson of destiny in this episode. And I agree with what you're saying that it would have been hard for him to separate his attachment. But that's literally what the rumor is okay, Ahsoka blames herself because she did leave, but what we're going to
Mhm.
learn is if Ahsoka stayed, Anakin was always destined to turn to the dark side. There's no question about it. That was even predicted on Mortis.
He made the decision
He
himself.
made
Like,
the decision.
it was Mortis that predicted it, but it was inevitably Anakin's decision to turn. It was no one else. Did other factors have to do with that? Yes, but it was Anakin's inevitability of gaining that power and saving his mother and all of that
Yeah,
aspects. Like, he wanted the
yeah.
power to it.
He was always destined to turn to the dark side, no matter what. Even if Ahsoka would have stayed, that was his destiny. Senator Tony says Maul told Ahsoka the Republic has already fallen. You just can't see it. Yes, um, he sure did. Okay, my theory that I'm going to release a video about. So if you're in the chat here, you get it firsthand of what the theory is going to be about. I still got to write it, and so everyone can kind of help me give your theories in the chat, and maybe I'll use it in my video. But
Can
going
can I
off of,
can I predict it real quick? Because I feel like I
go
know
for it,
what you're probably gonna say. Is there
go
gonna
for
be
it.
a different factions of Jedi?
Well, you know that I've always been a fan of that, and yes, in a sense, that is true. But I think it really comes down to the sequel trilogy and explaining where Ahsoka is in the sequel trilogy. I've
Okay.
heard a lot of other people talking about this, but obviously going to have to explain the fact of why our characters in this show, mainly Ahsoka and probably Ezra, are not assisting with the First Order.
Mhm.
I think, I mean, the fact that we're getting a brand new galaxy to me is obviously insane.
Mhm.
And to what you're saying, yes, I think that there will be factions of Jedi. I think Ahsoka is going to stay in this new galaxy and create a Jedi Order and protectors of that galaxy and stay in
Ooh,
that galaxy. And then the events of the sequel trilogy, like, and I think that what's really cool about that is I think that that could be why she meets up with Luke in the book of Boba Fett right before she leaves for the new galaxy, is she knows that she's potentially going to have to stay or that she might never come back. And she's passing on the responsibility to him to rebuild the Jedi in that galaxy and lead the Jedi in that galaxy because she knows she has a responsibility in this other galaxy.
interesting.
Whether it happens, I don't know. I've seen a couple other people talking about it, and I'm like, it would help explain where she's at, number one.
I
And
think it's a
number
good
two,
explanation as well.
and number two, it's like, I mean, we have no idea what's going on in this other galaxy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's as expansive as the galaxy that we know is. I mean, uh, imagine what's going on in that other. I mean, what is the government like over there? Is it an empire? Is Thrawn just wreaking havoc in that galaxy, or is it a republic, more more democratic? Who knows? Is there a need for a Jedi? Is there already Jedi? There's a
Plus, we
lot of
can visit
questions,
new worlds, which is
right?
great for Star Wars, which is world building, which
And
we've
I think,
visited the same planets over and over and over. And people are tired of that. Now that we can visit a new galaxy, holy,
well, I mean,
like,
we've always grown. The planets have already, like, I mean, Cetos, to my knowledge, is brand new. The planet that we're visiting in the
yeah,
Ahsoka show, so there's always been branching out. But yes, I agree. At the same time, it could be a completely. People talk about the retconning, the sequels, and the difference in timelines. And no, I don't think we're going to get a Star Wars multiverse. But now that we have a
no,
galaxy over here and a galaxy over here, I mean, you could pretty much branch off and do two separate timelines in a
yep.
sense, and it's it's solved. Uh, so that's my theory, and I'm going to do a video about it. Kermagin says, I will consider Ahsoka the greatest show ever created if the story finds a way to relegate the sequel trilogy to an alternate timeline dimension never to be seen again. I don't know if the Kermagin said this as I was talking
It's
about my theory, but
yeah.
that's pretty much what I'm saying. So,
You it's technically two separate timelines, but you're not going to relegate it or get rid of it. It's still going to be there. You still have to acknowledge that it's there because it is a
yeah,
thing. Do we all hate it? Yes, but is do people who like it? Great, be happy for them. But it's gonna still be a thing. Like,
yeah,
you can't get rid of it.
this comment, and please take Kathleen Kennedy to that other guy. But hey, Kermagin, you have to realize that if I mean, your statement is ironic. If I have the ironic Palpatine video clip, I'd play it right now because it's ironic. Is like you will consider Ahsoka the greatest show ever created, but Kathleen Kennedy, like, technically is president of Lucasfilm over the show. So it's like ironic.
I mean, she is the emperor over there,
Yeah,
so Dave's
she
just
she does oversee. She oversees both factions of Star Wars, the Andor camp and the Ahsoka camp, and
yeah.
she's
I
just like
couldn't.
the Sith Lord.
I don't want to be in that position.
A Sith Lord. Anyway, Senator Tony says a galaxy far, far, and far away. I mean, how are they going to explain that one? A long time ago in galaxies far, far away, I suppose. You know what I also found interesting too. I was under the impression, and I'm somewhere between. I've said this before, but a normie and a super fan.
Yep.
I was under the impression that it was not known that there were other galaxies out there to like most people, but um I think that it would be it's interesting that there were multiple galaxies and nobody like knew about them. But Ahsoka did kind of know about it because I think at the end of the episode they're like, um, Ahsoka's like, "How is something about a neighboring galaxy or something like that?" And I don't know. It's interesting to me just because I didn't think anybody knew about these other galaxies, but apparently they did. I think Journeyman's back now. There we go.
Yeah. Sorry.
Um, so that's kind of all that I had in terms of. I mean, I've given you my uh predict or my theory that I'm going to release in a video now. I feel like we've kind of broken everything down. We saw the Purgle, which I think was really great. Uh, do you have
Which,
anything else?
funny enough, don't you think? I mean, they said they can travel at intergalactic speeds or whatever. So I guess the Purgle just came back from Peridia. I guess if that's what happened, because if they're there, Ezra's unless there's just pods of them that are different, and this one's a different
The
group.
Purgle?
But yeah,
Yeah, I think they go. I just think they migrate back and forth.
which is really cool.
Yeah. Curvagen says Dave has done some way out there things, the world between worlds, and I think Mortis arc was his as well, but I
Yep,
don't recall for sure. Mortis was yes, like a part of the Clone Wars, but I think George Lucas was definitely more involved at that time. Um,
it was
and
more
obvi-
George. It was more George's idea for Clone Wars and everything. I think they just had a really helpful creative hand to be in that show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So and Dave drew inspiration from that, obviously, with the world between worlds as we see the Mortis gods on the mural. Senator Tony raises a good point here. Remember in Empire, episode 5, at the end, Luke and Leia stand at the medical bay window looking at a distant galaxy. I think I do remember that. So perhaps it is known that there are other galaxies out there, but how to get to those galaxies has remained maybe a mystery and
Yeah,
seemingly impossible, which I think it is impossible. I was watching a video today and they were acting like in some type of Star Wars literature show or movie, whatever. They're talking about how it is quite literally impossible to escape the galaxy based off of actual like scientific like barriers.
yeah.
So, um anyway,
It also could
uh
be. It also could be just talking. Like this could be. I know it's crazy, but eventually our in real world galaxy, our galaxy and another galaxy, the Andromeda or whatever system, it's going to collide in like 2 billion whatever, years or whatever, according to scientists. But I mean, that could be the case too. Is they're just two galaxies being hurled at each other, and that's
yeah,
where they went to or whatever. So
yeah,
that could be just a theory of like it's it's getting close or whatever.
yeah. Curbage in here says, "Heck, didn't the Falcon go through that black hole at the center of it?" Yeah, I think in I've only seen the Solo movie once, but I think there was something like that. I don't know if that had to do with
Yeah,
the distant galaxy though. Um, Tony says they had to wait till Dave created the Ahsoka show. Yeah, to explain it. And yeah, I mean, it does sound like people knew that there are other galaxies out there. It's just a means to getting to those galaxies was a little bit tough. Let's do a I love democracy segment.
I love democracy. I love the Republic.
Editor of the channel, you can head over to the community tab and I often post a lot of polls and stuff over there. And you can vote from time to time, and whenever sometimes on my most recent polls, I like to do it. I love democracy segment here and go over what the results of those polls were. So for this poll, I asked you senators. I posted this poll a little late, so we don't have a lot of respondents on this one. But I asked the senators of the channel, what rating do you give Ahsoka Episode 3: Time to Fly? Uh, Based off of 1 star to 5 stars. And with 47 votes right now, which thank you to all who voted, we have 51% of senators at 5 stars. So half of the senators who voted gave the episode 5 stars out of 5 stars. 34% gave it 4 stars, 11% 3 stars, and 2% 2 stars, and then another 2% for 1 star. So overall, it I think people liked it. I mean, half of the senators gave it 5 stars. I'd probably give it 4 stars. I don't know how many stars. I don't get to vote since I created the poll. I don't. Did you vote on it? I don't even know if you saw it. Probably
Yeah, 4 stars.
you gave it 4 stars,
Yeah,
or you would give it 4 stars.
yeah, I
It
would give
compares
it
to
4 stars.
last week. I did the episode 1 and episode 2 polls. 59% of senators last week gave both of those episodes 5 stars. So that was with 63 votes, though. So it's underperforming just a little bit here based off of what we have so far in terms of the data. But nonetheless, uh, still performing pretty well, I'd say.
I did
Um,
wanna ask you a question, though,
yeah, go
not
for it.
just for the "I love democracy" thing, but kind of off topic. What did you I'd never watched Theory and Josh's videos about this episode. Did they like
Hmm.
the direction it was going, or did they not
For
like it?
episode 3,
Yeah,
Theory gave it. I think I haven't watched their streams about it yet, like their actual like physical
yeah,
thoughts.
right.
Theory gave it, and Theory and Josh have different opinions about it. Like they
Yeah,
approach it differently. Theory gave it a 9 out of 10 on Twitter. I haven't heard how, like, I heard his breakdown. I mean, his breakdown was close to 20 minutes for this short episode. Like he had a super long breakdown for a super short episode.
right,
And he talked a lot about how he was. I I mean, I won't speak for him, but it seemed like he was
right,
okay with the fact that Sabine was turning Force sensitive because George Lucas has said, like, everybody has the Force. It's just a matter of talent and
right,
the midichlorians and stuff.
right.
So he seemed to like the direction it was going. Gave it a 9 out of 10. I think Josh liked it too. Um, he's been a little bit more critical about the things that he didn't like. I think he's more ticked at Disney more so. There's all the drama. I don't know if you saw all the drama out there about
Mhm.
the viewership numbers. So some of the viewership, I can't remember. I'm just not into it as
Right.
much as other people. But there was one source that reported, I think, like 1.2 um,
Million.
million households or people watched it. Um, and that was very low compared to like even the Mandalorian season 3, Kenobi, Mando. Like it was low. And so
Hmm,
everybody was in a tizzy, like, oh my gosh, Star Wars is truly dead. Like nobody watched it, like the premiere. And then
mhm.
Disney just a little bit later was like 14 million actually watched it, not 1.2. And then we was like, whoa, 14 million. Like
Huh.
that's like 10 times as much as Mandalorian. So it's like they inflated their numbers. And so like Josh is just like the truth is like it's probably somewhere in the middle, like
7 million.
or who knows, but I think he's just ticked at Disney.
Yeah.
Anyway, he liked it. Like he said that he believes like the slower parts of the episodes, like these are going to be the slower episodes. Like what we
Mhm.
know at this point is we're probably in the next episode going to see the lightsaber fights between all of them. They set the
Right.
next episode up fantastically, in my opinion.
Yes.
I'm like, really excited for it. And then after that, like after we see those lightsaber fights, there's really nothing else in the trailers besides Thrawn that we haven't seen yet. So we're going into the dark,
Interesting.
probably
Okay.
into episode 5. So he's excited for it. He says that it's not the show that's going to save Star Wars, but we'll see by the time I guess the show ends what
Yeah.
he truly thinks about it.
I just
So
didn't know. I hadn't seen your or haven't talked to you about anything, so I didn't
Yeah.
know if you saw the videos or not.
Yeah. So that's that. Um, I'm going to jump into the next segment here really quick to go over the channel announcement a little bit more. Journeyman, you're free to stay or take off or whatever you need to do. But
I think I might actually head off, so I'll see you
okay,
guys later. And peace out.
see ya. So let me pull up. There we go. So thank you all who have stayed here towards the end. I wanted to go over just a few more things, channel announcements uh, that are really exciting for me. Like I said at the beginning, I couldn't have done this um, without you all. The channel has grown so much more quickly. I know we're at like 549, I think, subscribers right now. We have a long ways to go till my next goal, which is 1,000. But couldn't be more happy with the way that the channel is growing right now. Like I said at the beginning, we do now have the ability for our senators of the channel to send in super chats. I know super chats are generally used for when there's a lot of people who are in the chat and you want your comment read. People read the super chats. I totally get that. We're not quite there yet. But still, if you want to support me as a content creator and see the channel grow, that's a great way to support the channel. Just to send in $1 even here and there, not every stream, just here and there, to support me. And I'm gonna put all that money back into to keep making the videos good. Maybe even launch some more channels in the future. Keep upgrading the background and all the tech and stuff that I'm using. I'm really just using what I have. I haven't put a whole lot of money into the YouTube thing yet. So, whatever you can do to support the channel, that would be fantastic. Like I said, too, even on just regular videos and streams, you can give super thanks, which is also just like a little donation. Like I said, even a buck or two, if you can, really would help me out a lot. And the coolest thing about it all is, and speaking of technology, I can't even share my screen on Stream Yards yet because I'm with the internet that I currently have. I'm afraid that it would crash the stream. So I don't want to share my screen or else I would share my YouTube page. But I'll try to show you on my phone the best that you can, and then you can go check it out for yourself. But we have channel memberships now. So if you want to truly become a senator of the channel, you can buy a membership starting at $2.99 a month. That's the only tier that I'm offering right now. That we might add some additional tiers later on as maybe we get more members and more subscribers and the channel grows and I have the time to actually give the value that someone would be buying for like a $5 or $8 tier. But we're going to be starting around the $3 tier a month, so $2.99 a month. Currently with that, and I will probably be potentially adding or taking things away. The perks that you get for being a member can change over time. Like I said, I'll try to show you this. I don't know if you can see this, but you can with the $2.99 per month membership as a senator. You'll get those loyalty badges, which are those colorful Galactic Republic symbols right there. So once you're a new member, you would get that white symbol, and then 2 months you get the red, 3 months you get the blue or the light blue, 6 months green, and then the gold. Once you've been a member for 1 year, you would get that, and those loyalty badges will show up in the chat, like Kermigan and Tony are right now. It'll just make your name green if you're a member, and then it will give you those loyalty badges next to your name in the chat so that people can see those and recognize you as a member and want to be you and be jealous of you as a true senator of the channel. And then um, with that as well, those loyalty badges should also show up in the comments section. So I'll be able to see that and give you priority replies in the comment section. So I always will respond to my senators, the true senators of the channel. And like I said, other people will be able to see that as well. In addition to the loyalty badges, which I think are maybe the coolest thing, is you get to show yourself off as a senator of the channel. You can also see that there's some custom emojis there. So you got a Palpatine. There's a gavel, which I'll explain what the gavel means here in a little bit. And then our Jedi of the channel, who does not have a name yet, um, will also be there. And there's a Jedi version of the character and then a Sith version of the character for when we're all ticked off at Kathleen Kennedy. No, I'm just kidding. But you can use those emojis in the chat as well if you become a true senator of the channel. Uh, what I love about the Palpatine meme, he has some like gangster glasses on, which I think is really fun. And whenever we do the I Love Democracy segments, if the senators of the channel would spam that Palpatine meme, because that's the Palpatine taken from that scene where he says, "I love democracy. I love the Republic." So you could spam those in the chat, and everybody would think you're crazy. But for members and senators of the channel, everyone would know what that means. And hey, there's also a gavel there if you can't see. I'm probably going to change that emoji to make that gavel a little bit bigger. Uh, but as you all know, whenever we end the streams here, we motion to adjourn. So whenever we adjourn the stream, if you want to throw those gavel emojis in the chat, I'm also thinking about actually buying a physical gavel so that I can gavel us out and adjourn the stream. But yeah, if you were to buy that membership, you would get access to that gavel and you can gavel with me. And hey, I don't know if I'll be able to see this. Obviously, we haven't had anybody join yet. But if you do join, um, based off of, I think while you're in the stream, it will pop up in the comments section. I can bring you up just like I do. Like here's Tony, for example, just like I bring up the comments. I can bring you up and share that whoever's been whoever becomes a senator of the channel, and I'm going to take the gavel and gavel you in as a senator. I mean, we could do an oath of office, but that might take a little bit too long. So whenever we have people join the channel while we're doing live streams, we'll gavel them in as well. And so if you are a true senator of the channel and you have access to that emoji, you can throw the gavel in the chat. You can throw the gavel in the chat whenever you want. But it's just those little inside things that I think will make the community strong. And hey, it's just $2.99 a month. If you need to cancel anytime, it's no big deal. Try it out. In addition to the loyalty badges and the custom emojis, we will be doing members only streams. So even if you're the only member in there, come join me. Would love to just chat with the senators of the channel and really build a community that way. In addition, I think if you've been here a couple weeks ago, I did a book club stream where we went through the first few chapters of the Thrawn novel. I would really like to do that with my members if I can get enough members to kind of support that. What we'll do is we'll have some streams where we just read some chapters of a Star Wars novel. We'll probably start with Thrawn, and we'll just talk about it as a community and really get to dive into the deeper aspects of Star Wars that are outside like the shows and the movies and all that good stuff. Would really love to do that. So if you buy the membership and become a true senator of the channel, there will be additional streams that non-members will not have access to. We'll still keep up all the streams that we're doing now, but there will be some additional streams. And then we also have members only community posts. So the predictions that we've been doing where Senator Tony has been participating in, I'm thinking about doing something similar to that, but just making it for the true senators of the channel, just so that if you're a member of the channel, you have a little bit more say and more recognition on the channel compared to our other senators who may not be members. And that's totally fine. Again, just $2.99 a month. You can cancel anytime. In addition to all those things, I'm thinking about making like a Discord chat just for the senators. I haven't got that far yet, but hey, it's an option. Just click that join button. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me over Discord, Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called, and we can talk about that. But just wanted to throw that out there. It is a huge milestone for me. I couldn't be more happy with where we're at right now. We're just getting started. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about the opportunities that we have in front of us, and hope that we can get some senators joining the channel here pretty soon. So Kermagin says, congratulations on your progress, Star Wars Democracy. I appreciate you, Kermagin. Thank you for being here, buddy, and I'm glad that you've been here over the past few days, and I can't wait for you to continue joining us. Like I said, we're just getting started. I said we can see them. Awesome. Tony there. Curbigen says, yes, my hate for Kathleen Kennedy makes me powerful. LOL. That's funny. And Kermagin says, good ideas. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So couldn't be more excited. So is there any questions in the chat? I know we're going on an hour and 15 minutes here. Anything that I can potentially answer about the memberships or any ideas? Open to suggestions. Like I said, if you have questions, hit me up in the Discord or reach out to me over Twitter or X or whatever it's called nowadays. Well, if we don't have anything popping into the chat, I rated it 8.5. Oh, you rated the show 8.5, Tony. Gotcha. Left your comments in the Discord. Yeah. Make sure you join the Discord. I don't know if I posted a link to the Discord in this video, but I believe I posted a link to it in the last stream. So go check out the last stream. I can try to find the link and post it in this live stream as well in the description. Left me some theories as well. Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. Okay. So I wanted to round out. I'm a Christian, and I really love how Star Wars echoes a lot of the same themes that we see throughout the Bible. My faith is something very important with me. It's something that I want to share with my audience, just here and there. But I want to leave us off with a piece of scripture from the Bible before we take off here. Scripture of the day is Psalms 34:18. It says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. If you have any questions or just want to reach out and talk to me, like I said, reach out over Discord or Twitter. I'm always happy to talk to you about Star Wars or about just life in general. I want to be there for the community and lift everybody up and always be there for another. With that being said, if I had my gavel, I would adjourn us, but I don't have a gavel. So if I can't even do the emojis myself because I don't even know if I'm considered a member in my own channel. I mean, I am the chancellor of the channel, but I'm not a actual member. So I need someone to be a member to gavel us out until I get my gavel. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and adjourn the stream tonight. Appreciate you all being here. Look out. We'll probably do a stream in the next few days. If not, I'll see you on Monday to do our prediction stream. And I can't wait to see everyone there. So may the force be with you all always.